Hi, my name is Peyton Busby, and today I'm going to be talking to you about DRTA. DRTA is a directed reading thinking activity that teachers use for individual studies, group studies, or classroom setting studies. This is an activity that students can learn comprehension from. The directed reading thinking activity is broken down into 3 steps. Teachers will create these steps using questions broken down into sections from a certain text that is needing to be learned. The first step is direction. A teacher will choose a title, a chapter heading, or an illustration that can provide a question that students will create a perspective of the text from. Teachers need to use open-ended questions in this step to create the perspective for the students. The students will then begin reading the certain section, and this step is called the reading step. And in this step, the students are going to analyze if their perspective is correct or incorrect, and can refine if necessary, but does not have to refine. And then the third and final step is the thinking step. At the end of each section, the teacher is going to ask, either as individuals or as a class, is going to ask if they need to verify or modify their perspective by using statements that are collected throughout the reading. Each student is going to pick a particular statement and use that to prove if their perspective was incorrect or correct. In order to ask these questions for the students to know if they are correct or incorrect, you can ask, what do you think about your perspective? What did you find throughout the text to prove that you are correct or incorrect with your perspective? What made you change your mind throughout the text that your perspective was wrong or right? These are just several questions that you can ask, and that will give your students a new comprehension over the text that has been read. An example of DRTA is if I were to use a book called Flora Bali Intuitive Painting. And if I were to use this in class, I would create a class setting study and start with chapter 1. Now, if I were to be teaching intuitive painting, which is very popular these days, I would start with chapter 1 and let the students look over the titles and chapter headings and the illustrations that are in this section. For the first chapter, the title is Opening Up to a World of Creativity Where Anything is Possible. Now, I would ask the students what do they think about this title, and then I would have them write it down on a piece of paper and give their perspective of this title. And then we would go down to one of the chapter headings, and I would have them read the following paragraph under Recreating Your Story. Now, in Recreating Your Story, Flora talks about how she used to think that she was not an artist, but she kept following her steps to be an artist, and then became to where she discovered she is truly an artist. And I would have the students then use the reading step, where we would talk about how, as an artist, this reflects us. And is their perspective over this section what they think that it's going to be in conclusion, or do they need to change anything? And then I would have them, under R, change anything that needs to be changed and answer some of the questions that we discussed in this section. And then we would move on, and I would let them finish this section, either reading out loud or reading to themselves. And then we would get to the thinking step. And at the end of this, I would have them use statements from the text that provide a verification if they are wrong or right with the perspective, and how it reflected them throughout the whole thing and what they learned from it. So this is just a great way for students to get involved in the classroom or get involved with the text they are learning. And this provides a way for them to not just skim over, to actually thoroughly read and comprehend the whole section of the text that is needing to be learned. This also can be used as teaching tools and games for studying, so students can learn before a test or a certain area that they are going to have to create a project in. So I would use this as a way for them to find themselves as an artist if they're having a little bit of trouble, and also learn some new styles and techniques from Flora. This would be a great book to use throughout the whole area of intuitive painting that we will be reviewing. So that is DRTA, and thank you.